Hello and welcome to the Christmas Eve edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Yes, we're still going to be with you over Christmas. Don't worry, we're not going to abandon you. There's still going to be plenty of hard variant Sudoku, hard and interesting variant Sudoku for us to have a go at. Now this puzzle today is called Erbium, and it's by the constructor G. Now I remember I've done a G puzzle, at least one G puzzle before, and it was excellent. So hopefully we're in for another treat today. This one's been recommended a couple of times as being, well, not really approachable, but very interesting. So we ought to be in fun. Actually, this thing, whatever the bauble on the end of my hat, I can see it in the corner of my eye. It's most disconcerting. But these are the trials and tribulations we must face at this time of year. I hope you're all having a great festive season, of course. And I don't have much to tell you about, unsurprisingly, perhaps. This time of year often, I think, is taken up with family-related things, and I hope you're all having a great time with your families. So why don't we just get on with it? Let's get on with the rules of Erbium. And we've got the following. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. I was looking for a digits cannot repeat within a cage condition, but I've just noticed all of the cages are in fact already in a single box of the Sudoku, so a digit couldn't repeat in any of the cages. Digits along an arrow must sum to the digit in that arrow's circle, so normal arrow Sudoku rules. No knight's move constraints today, so I think we're good to go. Do have a go at the puzzle yourselves. I'm trying to think why it might be called Erbium. Do I know anything about Erbium? I think it's an element, and I want to say it's in some way related to Erbium, but I don't know why I think that. And I've no idea, what is this puzzle? How could this be related to Erbium? Anyway, as by the by, do have a go. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the first thing I'm seeing here is not a lot. I'm seeing possible Fistimofel implications, I suppose. In fact, that's not such a bad idea. In fact, maybe, yes, maybe Fistimofel. I'm seeing two arrows that are slightly restricted. Yeah, and I think these arrows, although these arrows are 3 cells long, you can see we can repeat digits along these arrows. So you could have the same digit in those 2 cells. So in fact, this square could be, well, all we know is it's 4 or higher, which is not nearly as restricted as, say, this one, which could have 1, 2, and 3 on it as a minimum. And therefore, these 2 squares, they're sort of symmetrical if you think about this diagonal. They have to be at least equal to 6. 3 cell arrows where you can't repeat a digit. Okay, no, I'm not seeing anything else here. So let me just think about how Fistimofel might work, if indeed it does. Because I don't like going through the explanation if I can't see a reason for doing it. Let's just... So the basic extension of the Fistimofel rule, or the first iteration of it, is to shift the 2x2s into these orange squares. So I've also got to include the corners, of course. So in fact, the blue squares can be shown to contain the identical 16 digits to the orange squares. Ooh, yeah, okay. Then we could eliminate those, couldn't we? Because we would know that these 3 digits added up to the same as the circle, so those could come out and retain not the same digits anymore, but the same sum of digits. It doesn't actually... I'm not seeing much better. Obviously, I can get quite a good count on those 12 squares. Those 12 squares exactly equal 65. Is that particularly high or not? Wouldn't have thought it's dramatically high, but maybe it is. Is there something that says... Let me just think about that. So how would we max out the blue digits? If we need to get to... Well, we need to get to 65 plus those 2 digits. So, okay, let's assume that the orange squares are high on average. They don't look particularly high. So we might have to do this the other way around in a minute. But let's go for, let's say that we're trying to maximize the value of the blue squares in order to reach the total that will be reached by the orange squares. Then if we keep these down as well, yeah, okay, we could go 2 double 1 on that arrow, couldn't we? That is a bit disappointing. So the minimum value of those 2 squares is actually only 3. So the absolute minimum value of the orange squares is 68. Now, is that particularly low or high? If we make these both equal to 9, that's going to be maximising the value of these squares, isn't it? Because that's going to allow us to make these 3 squares equal to 18 in both situations. So we could have 1836. We could put 2 8s into those squares. That's another, so that's 52. Now that square would be a maximum value of 7. What did I say I got to? I've forgotten already. And that square would be a maximum value of 7. No, this could be 9 again. Apologies. I don't know why. I was looking at these 9s there thinking, oh, I can't put a 9 there. No, I could put a 9 there, absolutely. So what do I get there? 36, 52, and 68. Oh, good. Right. Okay, well, that's it. That is it. That is, well, it's very beautiful, but somewhat surprising to me. Why can't I see that? Why does that... Why do I not appreciate? I suppose the nature, if you've got 5 cells... Hang on a minute, let me just think about this for a second or two longer. If you had a completely unrestricted choice about these digits, the maximum you could make them add up to would be 35. Now here, that's actually reduced slightly because of the nature of the arrow. Because we can't include a 6 and a 5 on this arrow, we're forced to use 6 and 3. So we lose 2 degrees of freedom as a result of placing the arrows into these cells. And that's enough to push down the totals. Oh, I suppose the other thing I haven't been thinking about very clearly, of course, is that I have absolutely reduced the number of digits I've got in blue compared to the number of digits I've got in orange by performing this little trick here. Yeah, okay, so that's why we head up towards a high average. So even though individually these cells look like they average very close to 5, these are slightly above 5, very slightly above 5. Once we deal with the fact that we've got lots of cells, so we've got 12 cells there, averaging about 5, whereas in blue altogether, we've only got, what's that, 9 to 10 cells. And we've got 14 cells in orange. Yeah, okay, so that's why it's pushing up the total. I should have seen that much more quickly. But let's just deal with, sorry, I know the other thing I should deal with is proving to you, if you're new to the channel, and what a great time to join if you are. You might be saying, what is he doing? How can he make these ridiculous assumptions? Well, I can because I've seen this sort of pattern before. Let me explain. I will use the patented method of Scrabble tiles to explain. Let's think about how to do this. Let us highlight some boxes of the Sudoku. I'm going to highlight all of those cells in orange. Now, I have no idea how the digits are disposed within the orange region, but as a set, I can describe absolutely precisely what is going to be included in the orange digits altogether, because each of the boxes obviously must contain a set of the digits 1 to 9. So the orange cells in total are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now let's imagine that we got 36 blank Scrabble tiles, and we went through them and we wrote the digits, digit 1 on 4 of them, the digit 2 on 4 of them, the digit 3 on 4 of them, etc. And we put all 36 of those in an orange bag here. Okay? Now I'm going to highlight a different set of 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. I'm going to highlight row 1, row 9. Let's do those first. So this is obviously a set of the digits 1 to 9. This is obviously a set of the digits 1 to 9. I'm going to do column 1 and column 9 as well. Now the only thing to bear in mind there is that in order to create my 36 Scrabble tiles for 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9, obviously this digit, this digit, this digit and this digit are in twice. Because if this digit was a 4, say, that's definitely in row 1 and it's definitely in column 1. So this digit would appear on 2 Scrabble tiles. It would appear when we were doing the row 1 Scrabble tiles, it would appear in that. And then when we did the column 1 Scrabble tiles, it would appear in that. So these 4 corner digits are in effect double blue. They're on 2 Scrabble tiles. I'll make them purple just to illustrate that. So at the moment, I'm going to put all my blue Scrabble tiles in a blue bag here, and I've got all my orange ones here. And these Scrabble tiles weigh exactly the same thing, and they have exactly the same digits in them. They each have 36 Scrabble tiles, each with 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Let's think about this digit. Let's say that's a 6. We don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. It's definitely in my orange bag. It's definitely in my blue bag. So if I go and hunt for a 6 in my orange bag and hunt for a 6 in my blue bag, and I pull them both out and throw them away, the bags still have the same thing in them because they had the same things before and I've taken the same thing out of them. So for every cell I've now coloured in 2 colours, I can simply find those Scrabble tiles and throw them out of both bags, and the result will be that it's still true to say at this point that the blues bag and the orange bag have identical digits in them. Let's deal with the corners. What's going on there? Well, we know that, let's say this digit was a 9. We know that this 9 here is in the blue bag twice and in the orange bag once. So I can take out 1 Scrabble tile from the orange bag and 1 9 Scrabble tile from the blue bag and throw those away, and we're still going to have parity, but there will still be a blue 9 left in the blue bag as a result of that. So this one, this one, this one, and this one all need to just become blue to reflect that. So let's put that in. So at this point we can say we've still got the situation where the bags are equal, and this is exactly the point I started from. You'll see we've got 16 squares in orange. There are exactly 16 squares in blue as well. And we know the bags are equal, i.e. they contain identical digits. Now the next thing I did, as I was sketching through this on the previous tab, is I noted that by the rules of arrow Sudoku, these 3 digits here sum to this digit. So if I find the Scrabble tile with this digit on it and throw it out of the orange bag, and I find the Scrabble tiles equivalent to these 3 and throw them out of the blue bag, obviously the number of tiles in each bag has now changed, but the sum of the digits in each bag is still the same because these 3 add up to this one. So that was the next thing I did. I did the same thing for both of those arrows, and that led me to this sort of equation where I was able to prove this. And now I'm hoping that this will be, well, actually I've just remembered as we flick back over here, that was on the assumption that this arrow was 211, so it must be 211. Those 2 squares are not 9 anymore. There's now a 1 on both of those arrows as a result of the fact that they're 3 cell arrows that cannot add up to 9. So that's if it's 6, it's 1, 2, 3. If it's 7, it's 1, 2, 4. If it's 8, it's either 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. So in each of those options we had to put a 1 in along the arrow, and now maybe we can actually fire up some Sudoku to help us finish the puzzle, he says, looking at this, trying to work out how exactly we're going to be able to do that. Okay, how are we going to do that? That's a good question. I'm not actually seeing very many. Oh, I see. Well, one thing we can do by Sudoku, I suppose, is to say that this 23 cage must have a 9 and an 8 in it, because there's a 9-8 here and a 9-8 there, and we need to put a 9 and an 8 in box 7. So probably that's what we do. We can repeat that trick. Perhaps there's got to be a 9 in that 21 cage. There's got to be a 9 in that 21 cage. There's got to be a 9 in that 19 cage. Aha, right. So this has got a 9 in it and 3 more digits that sum to 10 more in order to get to 19 without using a 1. Well, there's only one way that works. That's 2, 3, 5 and 9 into this box. That's completely useless. Disappointing. Oh dear. Okay, so what do we do next? Oh, right, one of these is an 8 arrow because of these 8s. So that might be interesting. Or not, as the case may be. Can we do, that can't be a 1 and that can't be a 1, I can see from this one in this position. 1, can we put a 1? Yes, we absolutely can put a 1 in the 21 cage, but so we should be able to put a 1 in that 21 cage as well. They're very similar things. Have we in some way limited the value of these arrows now? I don't think so. Well, I can see that now if there is a repeated digit, that repeated digit cannot be a 1 anymore. Yeah, I suppose the minimum value of those two squares now is 2, 3. The minimum value of those 2 squares is 2, 3. Oh, no, actually, hang on. That digit and that digit are there. Right, I've maligned this box unfairly. This digit and this digit now are a minimum of a 4-6 pair. Oh, that's huge. Oh, goodness me, that's huge. Because, this is beautiful setting as well, by the way. What would happen if these were not a 4-6 pair? Well, one of them would have to then be at least a 7. Well, you can't put 7 in either of these positions because when you complete the arrow, you'll get to a double-digit number in the circle. So these are a 4-6 pair, and these 2 squares are therefore a 7-8 pair. And one of these arrows is now definitely a 9. Because one of these is definitely a 6 and must be completed by a 1-2 pair. Now that means one of those 2 squares is a 1. There's some very peculiar stuff going on in those 4 cells. One of these is a 9. And the other one will be at least a 7. So these squares are 7, 8 or 9. And that's true for both of them. Which is sort of now getting interesting with these cages we've got to deal with. In the rest of boxes 2 and 6. So, whichever one of these is a 4, does it have to have a 1 on its arrow? That's the question I'm now thinking about. If it was 2, 3, 4... you'd put a 9, you could have... Can you have 2 9s in those 2 cells? The answer is, I think you can. I think you can. There may be a reason I'm not seeing, because there's quite a lot of interaction if these are both 9s around the grid, but I'm not immediately seeing why that's impossible. So we can't assume... I was wondering if I could assume both of these digits have to be a 1, but I don't think that's a good assumption. So we'll have to not do that. We now know that the 3 high digits, i.e. the 7, the 8 and the 9, in this box are confined to these 5 cells, because a 13 cage must always have a 7, 8 or a 9 in it. So there's 1 in there, 1 in there and 1 in here. So the rest of this box is made up of the digits, or can only be selected from the digits 1 to 6. Same is true there. Ah, 6. Where does 6 go in this one? That's beautiful. That is so clever. Right, look at this arrow. You can never put a 6 on a 3-cell arrow unless it adds up to 9, which that one doesn't. You can never put a 6 in a 12 gauge. You now can't put a 6 here. So that's a 6, and that fixes the arrows. There we go. Wow. I am very, very impressed with that. That's lovely. Now, does it do a lot for me, though? Let's just be careful here. This 4 and this 6. This is now a 1-2 arrow adding up to 9. So that's become a 9. This is a 1. This is a 2. This is a 1 now by Sudoku. This 9 is ruling 9s out of these 2 cells. Can we do any better than that? Do we know what this one is now? No, we still don't. That could still be a 1 here and a 2 here, adding up to 7. Let's actually put the options in. It could be that. If it's 8 here, you've got to go 1 here and 3 here. If it's 9 here, these 2 have to add up to 5, but they could be a 2-3 pair. I don't believe it. So that could be a 2 or a 3. Or it could be a 4. It can't be 4-1. So this square is always a 2 or a 3. This square is always a 1, 2 or 3. But unless I'm missing a trick, which I could well be, I can't see how to force anything as a result of that. These cells are now restricted, aren't they? Because we've used the 9. So these cells here are selectable from 4, 8, 5 and 7. Oh goodness. And that means this is, I see, this is now 1, 2, 3 triple, so this has become a 6. Now there is no 6 I'm seeing in this 21 cage, in case that matters for later. There's no 6 on this arrow, so there's definitely... Right, okay, so one of these 13 cages is a 6-7 cage now, which means there is no 7 in this cell. So this is now up to 8 or 9, and one of these is a 6-7 pair. And the 6... I'm not sure. I'm not sure we know where the 6 goes. If that was a 7... the 7 would go here, the 6 would go here. I don't see what's wrong with that. I can't see how to do it. Okay, right, let's take stock. What can we do next? So, we've got there's no 1 in that square. There is a 1 in one of these 2, but we've got this 1, 2, 3 triple. We've got... got to put... okay. You can't put a 2 in this domino in box 5, or it's going to force the 2 into a 13 cage. So these are not 2. There's a 2 in this domino, and now we can ask where 2 goes in this box. It has to go exactly there. That means this square is now a 4 or a 5, and we don't know what it is, unfortunately. That was close to being a deduction, wasn't it? Oh, okay. And now we ask where 3 goes in box 2. This is an incredibly clever puzzle. 3 must go here. So 3 is now in this domino in box 3. Now, can we put 3? Yes, absolutely, we can put 3 in the 21 cage, so that's no use. What about 2? 2 has to be in one of those cells. Did we work out there was a 2 in one of those squares? No, we didn't, because if that's 8, this is a 1-3 pair and doesn't have a 2. Sorry, brief interruption there. I think that might actually happen again today. As you can imagine, we've got quite a lot on. So I just got shouted. And right, what were we looking at? I can't even remember. Hang on a sec, let's go back. Okay, so I've been looking at box 1, and I've got a 2 in one of these squares. I had these squares highlighted, so I was thinking about... I was probably thinking about whether I could put... whether there needs to be a... No, there doesn't need to be a 2 in this domino, does there? Because this is an 8 or a 9, so either we've got a 1-3 pair here, or we've got or we are adding these up to 5, and we can't use 4 and 1 because this can be neither. Right, so there is always a 3 on this domino. There you go, there's a deduction. I don't think that's a deduction I was thinking about, but that is a truth that we have discovered. So this, beautiful. Right, so this arrow here now is not 6, 3, because that's going to give us a problem with placing a 3 into that domino if we put the 6, 3 in there. So we can get 6. We can apparently not do anything else. Oh, no, we can. This 9 arrow is now 4, 5, because it can't be 1, 8, 2, 7, or 3, 6. So that's 4, 5. And it must be 4 because we've got a 1, 2, 3, 5 quadruple in row 5. So that's got to be 4. That's got to be 5. Remove 5 from these squares. Remove 5 from these squares, which means remove 7 from those squares. So this has become 4, 8. That's become 5, 7. Oh, and yeah, okay. And now let's come back to this quadruple. 1, 2, 3, and 5 into those squares. So that can't be a 5. That's a 7. That's a 5. That's a 7, that's an 8, and we're away, are we? Or at least we're making slow progress. We still don't seem to know what this arrow adds up to, though, which is a bit perplexing. And in fact, there's many things we don't know. Let's be honest about it. Right, this square is 4, 5, or 7, as is this one. So let's put that in and see if that helps with anything. Oh, I might be about to get called again. Hang on. Let's just carry on. I don't like getting interrupted because I totally lose my train of thought, as you've just seen. Okay, come on. Oh, I've got a 2, 3 pair there now. Where's that come from? So that square's got to be an 8. That's very welcome. Oh, it doesn't seem to do very much, though. So those squares are from... They must have a 7 in them. I think that's all we can say. There's a 7 in here. And do we know... yeah, we do. Okay, let's have a look at this box now. Because there's a 4 here. So this 13 cage can't contain a 9. And if it can't contain a 9, there must be a 9 in this domino in the box. That 9 looks downwards at that square. So that's a 3. That's a 5. That's a 2. That's a 9. Here we go. Okay, so that's not 2 anymore. That's not 2 anymore. That's not 3 anymore. It still resists. What's going on? So this is not 4, 9, so it's 5, 8, or 6, 7. And surely we must know which of those is going to be forced. No. Yes. Or no, but I can now see that by the power of Sudoku, of all things, not Grayskull, that's an 8 in box 3. Look, there's an 8 looking at those squares. So I think that's probably been available for a while, just didn't spot it. This is the nature of live solving. We don't know where to look next, so often we go on our little excursions around the block, and yeah, we get rather embarrassed when you point out to us how daft we appear to have been. So now there's definitely an 8 in this domino. And I can't quite see if we can force anything into this domino. I don't think so. Right, so where shall we look next? Have we got anything? Oh, those squares have now got to be either 1, 2, or 7. Does that fix this? No. It still resists. I'm far from sure. Oh, hang on. Look at this arrow. That must be restricted. It's not 1, 8. It's not 2, 7. So it's either 4, 5, or... I've spotted something interesting about that. I'll come on to that in a minute. 3, 6. Is this 4, 5? No, it's not 4, 5. Not for anything to do with columns 4, 5, and 6, but to do with this little box here. if we've got 4, 5 here and 4, 5 here, 4 and 5 are forced into a box with an 8 and a 9. And my quick calculation tells me that that would not add up to 23. Indeed, it would add up to 26. So that's clearly wrong. So this must be 3 and 6, which means that's a 9, that's a 4, that's an 8. That's going to do wonders down here in a moment. We now know that's a 6, that's a 7. And that's a 6 by Sudoku, and probably more. But let's come and look at the 8 arrow now, because this has got to have a 1, 3 on it. So that's got to be 3, that's got to be 1, which means that's a 3, that's a 2, that's a 1. This has become a 2, 7 pair. And we might be on the home straight. 8 here, yeah, come on, keep going. 8 and 4 go in. What about the top row? 3, 4 and 7. No, I don't think it is resolved. I think we can limit some cells, but I'm not sure we can resolve them. Okay, so we've still got work to do. This column must be very restricted, though. This is a 5, 8 pair. So this is a 4, 7 pair. So 7, no, 7's still not done over here. Still it resists. Do we know about anything else? Can we work out what this cage is now? It's a 21 cage. It's got a 9 in it. Oh, and it's got a 5 in it, look. So there's a 9 and a 5 in there. Oh, that's gorgeous, actually. That's really helpful. 9 and 5 add up to 14, so the other two digits add up to 14. They can't be 5 and 2, or you'll repeat the 5, and they can't be 6 and 1, there's a 6 there. So this combination is exactly 3, 4, 5 and 9, which means that square's become a 7 out of nowhere. That's a 3, that's a 4. These two squares are 5 and 7, which we can write in. That fixes the 7 down here. Don't lose my voice either. That would be a bigger disaster. How would I regale everyone with the Christmas carols if I can't sing? You may well ask. 6 and 4 go into those squares. 6 must be there by Sudoku. So we need 1, 2 and 3 in this. That's a 2. That must be a 1, because we know the 3 now must be down here. And this should all be fixed, I think, at the top. We've got a 3, 5 pair, which is resolved. And a 4, 9 pair, okay, that's not resolved. And a 2, 7 pair, which is resolved. And we need 1s, 2s, 4s, and 5s along the bottom. So that's a naked single. So now it's down to 2, 4, and 5. Somehow that's not done. Okay. But presumably, can I now work out what this 23 cage is? It needs 6 more, and it can't be 2, 4, because that would make both of those cells have to be 5. So this is 8, 9, 1, 5, and we can see that the 1, 5, look, have to go in those squares, and therefore we know the order. 1, 5, this is an 8, 9 pair. These two squares have become a 2, 4 pair, and we can do them. 2, 4, 4, 9, and this square therefore is 5. This column needs a something. It's a 2. So we've got 9 and 9, 18. This needs to be a 3, 9 pair, and there's a 3 here. Lovely. 3, 9, 9, 8, 8, 5, 4, 7, tick. Beautiful. What a beautiful puzzle that is for Christmas Eve. Let's just think about what we had to do there, because it wasn't trivial at all. I mean, I spotted the Fistimofel trick fairly quickly, more as a result of there being nothing else I could see. Then what did that lead to? It led us to a few digits, but then we were able to narrow down the options for the... what was it? We got this cage figured out, didn't we? And then we limited these to 4 and 6, which was beautiful. And then this was in a way my favourite step, was the fact that this box, once we limited this cell to being a 7, 8 or a 9, the same as this one, because these were a 4, 6 pair, you could place the 6 in box 6, and that 6 was beautiful because it disambiguated the 4 and the 6, and that led to all sorts of other shenanigans going on in the grid. It's a brilliant puzzle. I've no idea why it's called Erbium. Any suggestions welcome, but thanks very much to G for entertaining us all on Christmas Eve. And yeah, I hope Father Christmas comes this evening, and we'll be back later and tomorrow with more Cracking the Cryptic. We don't stop for Christmas. See you then.